Elizabeth Holmes. The name once promised a revolution. She was young, a Stanford University dropout at 19. Holmes had a vision, grand and transformative. She adopted a uniform, the black turtleneck. It was a deliberate echo of another icon, Steve Jobs. Many saw her as the next visionary, a true pioneer. She aimed to change healthcare forever. Her confidence was remarkable, almost hypnotic. A star, it seemed, was undeniably born in Silicon Valley. Her pitch was captivating, intensely persuasive. She spoke of a world without fearsome large needles. Imagine just a tiny pinprick of blood. From this single drop, hundreds of tests could be run. This was the core promise of her new company, Theranos. Healthcare would become accessible, democratized for all. Early disease detection would save countless lives. It was a narrative of hope, of radical innovation. People listened, and people started to believe. The medical world, she claimed, was on the cusp of change. Yet even then, a certain mystique surrounded Holmes. Her deep, affected voice was often commented upon. Her unblinking stare could be quite unsettling. Was it genius, or something else entirely? Questions lingered, even amidst the growing adulation. The allure of Theranos proved irresistible to many. Holmes possessed an uncanny ability to secure funding. Millions of dollars began to pour into her company. Soon, those millions turned into hundreds of millions. Prominent investors lined up, eager to be part of it. Their names were well-known, figures of influence. Rupert Murdoch, the media magnate, invested heavily. The Walton family, founders of Walmart, also backed her. Even former U.S. Secretaries of State were convinced. Their support lent Theranos an air of immense credibility. The company's valuation soared to astonishing heights. At its peak, Theranos was valued at $9 billion. This figure was staggering for a private healthcare firm. Elizabeth Holmes became a media sensation, a symbol. She was hailed as America's youngest self-made female billionaire. Magazine covers featured her, celebrating her apparent success. She spoke at prestigious conferences, sharing her vision. The narrative was one of unstoppable triumph. Few dared to question the numbers, or the technology. The promise was simply too compelling to ignore. This immense financial backing was built on trust. Investors believed in Holmes and her groundbreaking claims. They saw the potential for enormous returns, of course, but many also believed in the humanitarian mission. Behind the polished exterior, problems festered within Theranos. The internal reality was a stark contrast to the public image. The revolutionary Edison machine was far from perfect. In fact, it consistently failed to deliver on its promises. Engineers and scientists worked frantically under immense pressure. They struggled to make the technology reliable and accurate. The dream of running hundreds of tests was just that, a dream. The device could only perform a very limited number, and even those results were often highly questionable. The core technology was fundamentally flawed. Employees who dared to voice their concerns faced a harsh response. Many skilled lab workers and engineers grew deeply worried. They saw the discrepancies between claims and reality. They understood the potential dangers of inaccurate tests, but speaking out was fraught with peril. Holmes and her top executives demanded absolute loyalty. Dissent was not tolerated within the company culture. Threats of lawsuits were reportedly used to silence critics. A climate of fear began to permeate the workplace. The mission was paramount. Doubts were seen as betrayal. The pressure to maintain the illusion was immense. Holmes needed to show progress to investors and partners. She needed to demonstrate that Theranos was succeeding. Section 4. The Edison Illusion: Deception by Design. The Edison machine was the centerpiece of Theranos's grand claims. It was meant to be a marvel of modern engineering, small, automated, capable of complex analyses from tiny samples. This was the device that would transform medicine. But the Edison, as publicly portrayed, was an illusion. It simply could not perform as Elizabeth Holmes promised. The technology was unreliable, inaccurate, and limited. This was a secret guarded closely within the company. The gap between the promise and the product was vast, a chasm filled with carefully constructed deception. To conceal the Edison's profound failings, drastic measures were taken. Blood samples collected from patients were often not tested on it. Instead, they were secretly tested on conventional machines. These were standard analyzers purchased from other companies like Siemens, leaders in the existing diagnostics market. This was a direct contradiction of Theranos' core marketing. The innovation was supposed to be their own proprietary technology. Patients and investors believed they were getting something new. In reality, it was often the same old methods disguised. The deception was systematic and deeply embedded. Furthermore, when the Edison was used, samples were manipulated. Blood samples were often diluted to try and make them work. This practice could severely compromise the accuracy of results. Section 5. Betrayal of trust. Patients put at risk. The consequences of Theranos' deception were not merely financial. The most profound impact was on ordinary people, on patients. These individuals trusted Theranos with their health. They believed the marketing, the promise of easier, faster tests. They went to Walgreens stores, where Theranos services were offered. They offered their fingers for that supposedly revolutionary prick of blood. They expected accurate information about their bodies, information that could guide crucial medical decisions. This trust was tragically and dangerously misplaced. The faulty technology posed a direct threat to their well-being. Lab workers within Theranos grew increasingly alarmed. They understood the grave implications of inaccurate results. A false positive or a false negative could have dire consequences. Consider tests for serious conditions like HIV or cancer. An incorrect result could lead to delayed treatment, or it could cause immense unnecessary anxiety and further tests. Concerns were also raised about tests for miscarriages. The potential for patient harm was very real and very serious. These were not abstract risks, they affected actual lives. The ethical failings were becoming impossible to ignore. Despite these internal warnings, Theranos pushed ahead. The company launched its testing services commercially. They were made available in Walgreens locations across America. Section 6. The Exposé: Courage, Consequences, and Collapse. The carefully constructed facade of Theranos began to crumble in 2015. Investigative reporter John Carey-Rao, then at the Wall Street Journal, played a key role. He started digging into rumors and whispers about the company. His investigation was meticulous, painstaking, and relentless. He sought out current and former Theranos employees. Many were initially hesitant to speak, fearing repercussions. The company was known for its aggressive legal tactics, but the truth, eventually, found a way to surface. Carey-Rao's work was about to send shockwaves through Silicon Valley. The $9 billion empire was on borrowed time. Whistleblowers from within Theranos were crucial to uncovering the fraud. Their courage cannot be overstated. They risked their careers and reputations to expose the wrongdoing. Tyler Schultz, grandson of board member George Schultz, was one. Erica Chung, another young lab employee, also spoke out. They provided Carey-Rao with damning evidence and first-hand accounts. Their testimonies corroborated the claims of technological failure. They detailed the deceptive practices and the pressure to conform. Their actions highlighted the importance of internal dissent. Without them, the truth might have remained hidden for longer. In October 2015, the Wall Street Journal published Carey-Rao's first explosive article. It detailed the fraudulent practices at Theranos with stark clarity. It revealed that the Edison machine did not work as advertised. Section 7. Silicon Valley's Shadow: The Enduring Theranos Legacy. The trial of Elizabeth Holmes began in 2021. It was a closely watched affair, a referendum on Silicon Valley itself. The prosecution laid out a case of deliberate, widespread fraud. They presented evidence of fake technology demonstrations. They showed falsified validation reports to investors. Misleading claims made to partners were also highlighted. The unauthorized use of pharmaceutical company logos was damning. Holmes's defense strategy involved deflecting blame. She pointed fingers at scientists and business partners. She also implicated her ex-boyfriend and former COO, Ramesh Sunny Balwani. In January 2022, the jury delivered its verdict. Elizabeth Holmes was found guilty on 4 counts of fraud. These counts specifically related to misleading investors. She was found not guilty on charges related to defrauding patients directly. The jury was deadlocked on 3 other investor-related counts. Later that year, Holmes received her sentence. She was condemned to serve over 11 years in federal prison, a stunning downfall for the once celebrated young billionaire. Ramesh Sunny Balwani faced a separate trial and was also convicted. The architects of the Theranos illusion were held accountable. The Theranos saga serves as a potent cautionary tale. It cast a long shadow over Silicon Valley's famed culture. The fake-it-till-you-make-it ethos was scrutinized.